Is it now time to get rid of the Republican Party? Good morning, Boston. Okay, my friends, a lot to talk about today. In fact, to be brutally honest, I was planning on leading with that big story out of Burlington here in Massachusetts, and I promise I will definitely get to it today, which has now gone national. I mean, in fact, it's gone international. Huge culture war story. But before I get to that, I'm sorry, but this has to be addressed. This is not the elephant in the room. This is the skunk in the room. Yesterday, in the afternoon, Republicans were voting on whether to censure and condemn Adam Piece of Schiff. And as you know, Congressman Schiff was the chair of the House Intelligence Committee during much of the Trump years. And it was Schiff who deliberately lied to the American people repeatedly. He went to media outlet after media outlet hundreds of times saying that he had the information. He had seen confidential, secret, classified information behind closed doors, which proved beyond a shadow of a doubt, according to Piece of Schiff, that Trump was colluding with Vladimir Putin, and his lies and his deliberate misrepresentations fueled the Russia collusion hoax. He was a key player in giving it life, in feeding it to the media, in feeding it to the public. And as you know, it has had disastrous consequences for our country. It plunged the country into division, polarization, almost a borderline political civil war, as Trump was branded a traitor and Trump was branded a colluder with Russia. And it led to the Mueller investigation, which led to the Mueller report, which said there was no evidence of any criminal collusion between Trump and Vladimir Putin. And now we know definitively through the Durham report that it was all garbage, that there was no evidence, not a shred of evidence, and that this all came from the Hillary Clinton campaign to frame Trump in order to distract and deflect from her own scandals regarding the server during the 2016 election. And that Biden knew it was a lie, Obama knew it was a lie, Comey knew it was a lie, Brennan knew it was a lie. In fact, Brennan even briefed all of them saying, this is all made up. It is nothing more than a political hit job. It's a smear. And yet, Adam Schiff kept this manufactured, invented Russia collusion hoax going day after day, month after month, year after year, by deliberately lying to the American people, saying, you're not going to believe what I'm seeing behind closed doors. I can't talk about it. Wolf, Jake, Rachel, I can't talk about it. I can't. But the evidence, it's damning. We have a traitor in the White House, an agent of the Kremlin. And it turned out there was never a scintilla of evidence. He literally lied through his teeth. He abused his position on the Intelligence Committee. He abused his position as the chair of the House Intelligence Committee. And he stood there and fabricated lie after lie after lie in pursuit of the political witch campaign against Donald Trump. And so, to her credit, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna from Florida said someone needs to hold this piece of Schiff accountable. And so she pushed for a motion to censure Schiff. And by the way, the House Ethics Committee, the Committee on Ethics, investigated Schiff and said there was no doubt there never was any information that he claimed, that he repeatedly lied, misrepresented what he saw and pulled a deliberate deception upon members of Congress, to the media. By the way, he turned out to be the prime leaker to the media all those years under Trump. When they're all talking about a source that we can't disclose, it was all Schiff. Lying, lying, lying. And the House Ethics Committee said these were deliberate, flagrant misrepresentations, outright deceptions, outright lies. And so, with the House Ethics Committee condemning Schiff, Anna Paulina Luna, the congresswoman from Florida, Republican, said it's time to hold this liar accountable. And so, she pushed onto the floor a motion to censure and condemn Schiff, with this caveat that she recommended he be fined. Not that you required that he be fined, but that she recommended that this goes to the House Ethics Committee, and if they want to fine Schiff $16 million, because the entire investigations into Trump cost the taxpayers, you and me, $32 million. And her argument is it was all based on a massive hoax and a massive lie, and they knew it was a lie. Schiff knew it was a lie, and he kept the fiction going at our expense year after year after year after year. Well, these people have to finally be held accountable. So you're going to pay half the cost. Now, again, the fine was not required. It was just recommended. If the House Ethics Committee said, nah, we won't fine him even $1, that's up to the House Ethics Committee. Yesterday was the vote. Unbelievably, unfreaking believably, 20 Judas Rhino Republicans voted against censure. To be more accurate, I want to give you the parliamentary term. They voted to, quote, table it, which means they're not going to consider the motion. And so all the Democrats held ranks. The 20 Judas Republicans defected, and it went down 225 to 196. In plain English, the 20 Rhino Republicans joined the Democrats, and they couldn't even muster the freaking courage to censure and condemn Adam Piece of Schiff. Forget impeaching Joe Biden. Forget impeaching Merrick Garland. Forget impeaching Mayorkas. Forget impeaching Christopher Wray. They can't even censure and condemn Adam Schiff. What does it cost them to censure Adam Schiff? And so, what this shows to me are now really two things. And I want to hear from you, Kuhner Country. 617-266-6868 is the number. Number one, we clearly have 20 Republicans who now have exposed themselves, their true colors. They are real members of the deep state. Adam Schiff did the deep state's bidding. No man has championed the deep state more than Piece of Schiff. And they clearly are now exposing themselves as being mouthpieces and beholden to the deep state, because Schiff should have been censured. To stand there and repeatedly lie, make stuff up, fabricate, pretend there's information when there isn't, and to keep doing this and leaking to the media and lying to members of Congress, lying to the public, lying to the voters, day after day, week after week, year after year after year, and there were no consequences? Nothing? Not even a slap on the wrist? Not even a censure? Not even an official condemnation? He's still going to keep his seat. No one's kicking him out of Congress. To me, it goes to the second question. What good is the Republican Party. No, really. As I said to Grace last night, I've never seen a bigger bunch of pathetic losers. I really haven't. Now, I get it. 20 out of 200 or 20 out of 220, about 200 voted against, voted for censure, 20 voted against, 2 voted present, and a couple of Republicans didn't show up to vote. So basically 10% voted with the Democrats. But still, I'm sorry. Where was the whip on this? Where was McCarthy on this? Where was Scalise on this? Notice the Democrats always hang together. If this was a vote by the Democrats to censure any Republican, not one would have broken ranks. Not one. These Republicans are so good for nothing, they can't even hold together on something as obvious as censuring and condemning Schiff. Which to me begs the question, is the Republican Party effectively useless? They won't impeach, they won't censure Schiff, they won't defund the IRS, they won't do anything. Your reaction next. 617-266-6868 is the number. Stunning vote yesterday. Honestly, mind-boggling vote. And it now has many, including myself, questioning what the hell is the Republican Party good for? No, really, honestly. I mean, it's a disillusioning vote, demoralizing vote. So, again, super quick reset because I want to go to the phone lines. 617-266-6868. There was a vote, a censure resolution introduced by Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. She's a MAGA Republican from Florida. By the way, excellent. A rising star in the Republican Party to censure and condemn Adam Schiff. And the reason why was for all of his deliberate, remember, it was deliberate. He kept saying that behind the scenes, he was seeing all of this evidence. You wouldn't believe it. Intelligence information, testimony, documents, but I can't talk about it because it's all confidential and under oath and behind the scenes and behind closed doors as I'm running the House and Intel Committee. But it's damning. Rachel, it's damning. Wolf, it's Anderson. We have an agent of Russia in the White House. He made it up again and again and again. The man is a serial pathological liar who deliberately misled, deceived, and manipulated the American people into believing or thinking the Russia collusion hoax was true. He clearly abused his power. He clearly abused his access to sensitive information. He was censured and condemned by the Committee on House Ethics. The House Ethics Committee said, we looked into it, the man lied and misrepresented repeatedly. So, now is the time to censure Schiff. Just censure the guy with the possibility of a fine, $16 million, because these whole House investigations cost you and me and the country $32 million. And so Anna Paulina Luna's point is that he should pay for some of this. You willfully deceive the American people. You play them for fools. You lie and lie and lie. I'm sorry, you have to be held accountable. A, you're going to be condemned. And B, yeah, you're going to pick up some of the tab. So this never happens again. 20 Judas Republicans, rhinos, refused to censure Schiff. And the Democrats, like always, thick as thieves. They all voted against the censure, all of them. They all back Schiff. Well, I mean, they're all liars as well, so they have to protect each other. But these useless rhinos defected and voted against censure, so the motion went down 225 to 196. Now, who are these 20 Judases? The cowardly 20, as they're now being called. Remember we had the 20 rebels? Well, these are the coward 20. Okay, here they are, my friends. One of them is a big disappointment, and that's Congressman Thomas Massie, Republican, Kentucky. He was considered apparently a good constitutional Republican, someone who we thought had a bright future as a conservative. No guts. This guy is a spineless little coward. So, Congressman Thomas Massie, Republican, Kentucky. Representative Kelly Armstrong, Republican, North Dakota. Representative Lori Chavez DeRemer, Republican, Oregon. Representative Juan Kiscomani, Republican, Arizona. By the way, many of these I've never heard of. I'm like, who are these people? Anyway, Congressman Tom Cole, Republican, Oklahoma. Congressman Warren Davidson, Republican, Ohio. Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican, Pennsylvania. Congresswoman Kay Granger, Republican, Texas. Congressman Garrett Graves, Republican, Louisiana. Let me see here. Believe me, there are more. There are more. But anyway, that's the gist of the 20, and we are definitely going to put up more. Okay, hold on. More's coming in. Congressman Thomas Keene, Republican, New Jersey. Congressman Kevin Kiley, Republican, California. Congressman Young Kim, Republican, California. Congressman Michael Lawler, Republican, New York. Congressman Tom McClintock, Republican, California. Congressman Marcus Molinaro, Republican, New York. Congressman Jay Obernolte, Republican, California. Congressman Michael Simpson, Republican, Idaho. You're in deep red Idaho, and you couldn't censure Adam Schiff? You good-for-nothing coward. Congressman Michael Turner, Republican, Ohio. Congressman David Valadao, Republican, California. And Congressman Steve Womack, Republican, Arkansas. So there's a lot of California and a lot of New York, which doesn't surprise me. But, I mean, Arkansas, Idaho, Louisiana, Texas. Some members are from those, red states. And you can't even do the basic thing and just simply censure and condemn Adam Schiff? Is it time to primary every single one of these rhino Republicans? Are you losing faith in the Republican Party? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, House Republicans, this is incredible, failed to censure Adam Schiff. I'm not kidding. 20 of them defected. Well, actually, 20 defected, voted no. 2 voted present. And 3 didn't even bother to show up to vote. So actually, technically 25. 25. And the 2 that voted present, Darrell Issa, California Republican. I was surprised with him because he's normally one of the good guys. And, of course, George Santos. I mean, who's got serious ethical issues of his own. So if you want to know why they're not impeaching Joe Biden, they don't have the votes. I mean, they're not even close. As I said to Grace last night, they can't even get 200. You need 218. They can't even get 200 votes to simply censure and condemn Adam Schiff. Never mind impeaching the President of the United States. Useless. This is a useless party. I'm sorry, but there's no other way to put it. And let me ask all of you, if Pelosi, flip it, just stand back, flip it. It was the Democrats in the majority. Pelosi is the House Speaker. And they wanted to say, I don't know, censure Marjorie Taylor Greene, or, just take your pick, Matt Gaetz or Lauren Boebert or whatever. Do you think the Democrats wouldn't get 218 votes? Do you think she would tolerate 20 moderate Democrats or whatever, swing state Democrats in purple districts saying, nah, I don't want to do this. Nah, you're going to do it. you're going to do it, and you're going to be happy to do it. The Democrats stick together. The Republicans stab each other in the back all the time. So, to me, this answers the question, are they going to impeach Joe Biden? Never. Never. And there's more coming out. There's more coming out. It's now getting to the point he can do anything. Joe Biden now, they've got audio recordings. They've got him on tape, taking $5 million in bribes for him and Hunter. And the oligarch who has the tape says it's an insurance policy. And by the way, the oligarch now is confirmed that the big guy is the term used for Joe Biden. So in all those documents where Hunter talking about the big guy, yeah, he goes, that's his nickname. Zlochevsky is now with me. He goes, yeah, that's his nickname. He's known as the big guy. Nothing. These 20 can't even condemn Adam Schiff. They're going to have the spine and the cojones to actually try to impeach the president of the United States. So what good are these people? What good are they? Until we purge every single rhino from the Republican Party, it will remain an effectively useless opposition vehicle. And so I want to ask all of you, what do you make of the failure of Republicans, these 20 in particular, the coward 20, to censure Adam Schiff? And are you beginning to give up on the Republican Party? Is it time now to primary every single one of these rhinos? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quick. This is from 917. Jeff, yesterday's disgraceful vote in which the 20 rhinos defected to the Democrats shows beyond the shadow of a doubt the uniparty is real. The Democrats and Republicans are the two wings of the same bird of prey. Yep. That's the problem in Washington. The ruling class, the uniparty, the Washington cartel, whatever you want to call it. And in the end, why are they indicting Trump? Why are they now on the verge of arresting DeSantis? Why do the Democrats commit crime after crime after crime? Because they know they'll never be held accountable. So they can do whatever they want. They know it. With useless cowards like this. And that's why they keep escalating their assault on our democracy. Because of these Vichy, Judas, traitorous Republicans. Am I wrong? 617-266-6868 is the number. Joanne in Weymouth. Thanks for holding, Joanne, and welcome.
Good morning, Professor Kuhner.
Hi, Joanne.
You are a professor of American history, am I correct?
Yes. Yes, I taught at McGill for many years.
Yes, you did. Now, I would suggest that we have what's called, going forward, the Common Sense Party. What do you think?
I love the idea of a third party. I really do.
Yes.
Now I've completely given up on the Republicans. We can call it the America First Party, the Common Sense Party, the America Party, the Constitution Party. I mean, to me, names are important. Don't get me wrong, Joanne. But to me, it's what the party stands for. And the only thing now that is keeping the Republican Party viable is MAGA. The 75 million loyal Trump supporters and voters. You take away MAGA, really, what's the point of voting for the Republicans? I mean, Joanne, really, you can't censure Adam Schiff. I mean, this should have been a slam dunk. And instead, 20 defections. They're going to try, by the way, Joanne, they're going to try again. Anna Paulina Luna, she's tenacious. So she's going to take out the aspect regarding the fine. because that made some of these yellow-livered Republicans, they were shaking at that. We don't want to fine him. It's too dangerous. So she says, okay, fine. It won't cost him a penny. Can we just condemn what he did? Just condemn it. That's all. Just condemn it. And so they're going to try again next week. I'm telling you, Joanne, they still won't get the votes.
Some reading to our loyal friends that may support a common sense party. One of them is called The American Revolution. It's by Mac Regan, Regan. The second book is called Disconnected, Exploring the Negative Impact of Social Media on Society. That's what I'm going to be doing this summer. I'm going to be doing my homework. Because guess what? November of 2024 is probably going to be the biggest test I've ever taken in my life, isn't it?
No, you're right, Joanne. Look, and you tell me if you disagree with me on this. If Trump loses in 2024, assuming he's the nominee, I think it's the end of the Republican Party. I really do. I think Trump, if I were him, should say we're forming a third party. Now, he may not run again. He may say, look, it's not going to be me that's going to run the next election. But the Republican establishment, the rhinos in the party, Chris Christie, Liz Cheney, Chris Sununu in New Hampshire, Charlie Baker, these 20 losers, all of them. So, you know what? You guys have shown yourselves to be such a bunch of cowards and traitors that we can't have a future with you. So we are going to break off and form a third massive party. As you put it, the Common Sense Party, or a pro-middle working class party, patriotic, that will defend the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And whatever 2-3 million loser Republicans are left who believe in these rhino principles, you can stay with this husk that remains of the Republican Party. But I honestly believe that MAGA has the numbers, the force, the movement, the grassroots to form effectively a third party that would eventually sweep the Republican Party into the dustbin of history. Do you think I'm wrong, Joanne?
I will suggest that, hello?
Yes, go ahead, Joanne.
I think that we should read another book that I'm going to read, and it's by George Orwell. It's two of them, Animal Farm in 1984. I read those in high school, like most people I know.
Well, that's what we're facing now. You're right. We're facing a form of totalitarianism from the left. And Orwell warned against that. And now it's right at our doorstep. And if the Republicans can't fight against that, they're useless. They're useless. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's the vote everyone is talking about, and I mean everyone. Democrats cannot believe it. Schiff himself dodged a bullet. He couldn't believe it. He thought his goose was cooked. And no, Republicans couldn't even muster enough votes to censure Adam Schiff. 20 rhinos defect and vote with the Democrats. Schiff, the censure motion went down. It was defeated, 225 to 196. So I've got to ask the obvious question. In your view, is the Republican Party now effectively useless? If they can't censure Schiff, censure, not impeach, just censure. Basically condemn, slap on the wrist, humiliate the guy a little bit. Are they ever going to impeach Biden? Or Mayorkas, or Garland, or Ray, or just take your pick? 617-266-6868, or as a lot of people on social media are saying, are we now reduced to these two parties, essentially the uniparty? The Democrats have no brains. The Republicans have no balls. Is that what we are now facing as a country? Mel in Saratoga. Thanks for holding, Mel, and welcome.
Yes, good morning, Jeffrey. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, whenever the RNC calls my phone, which is quite regular, I just, as soon as they say the RNC, blah, blah, I hang right up. There's no sense in me giving any donation or anything to the party because, as you say, it's a uniparty. The Republican Party's been infiltrated by Democrats. They run as Republicans, but they know their agenda is, or their affiliation actually is Democrat Party. So, I mean, we've been infiltrated by, no good, I would have to say, to the degree of spies within the Republican Party by the Democrats. So, but Michael Waller, I called his office the other day because he's got an issue here in New York, and I can't recall what it was, but I did call his office, and I talked to his staff member, some kid down there, and I told him what I felt. But you beat me to the punch too in regards to those names, those 20 names that you listed. I was hoping that you were going to do that, and then hope that you would post them on your Twitter page and the Kuhner report on WRKO. That way, your listening audience could call their offices direct. I mean, through the website congress.gov, and you look up the members because up in the right-hand corner there's where you can click on members, and you can go direct. They don't give you a list. You can go directly to their office and bypass the switchboard and talk to that. Leave a message or. Even talk to the who, if you're lucky enough, that a staff member will pick up the phone. Then you can speak your opinion direct. And as far as emails being sent, if that representative is not, you don't live within that district because you've got to enter your zip code and this and that and the other, then they don't take your email. So if you can get to call direct through Congress.gov, you'll get through directly
I'm
to their
so
office.
with you. Oh, Mel, as always, thank you very, very much for that call. Oh, I'd ring their phones off the hook. I really would. And it's to every one of those 20, they got to be primaried. I mean, out. Don't get me wrong. George Santos didn't vote against. He voted present. He should be primaried for, he's an ethical basket case. Okay, the guy's a joke. And he will be primaried and he will lose. So even those that voted present, I think should be primaried. But definitely the 20 who voted against, they should be primaried on the spot. On the spot. In other words, enough. Really, enough is enough. I mean, come on. They're a bunch of losers. They really are. I mean, this is becoming a clown show. And the Democrats are laughing at us. I mean, now literally they're laughing at us. So you've got yesterday the spectacle. It's now come out. There are audio recordings. There are 17 recordings, tapes by Mykola Zlochevsky. He's the guy who owns Burisma. He's the one mentioned in that FD 1023 form, the FBI document, which he's talking about to an FBI informant, how he's been bribing the Bidens. And when Biden was vice president, he gave them over $10 million. And he says, no, I got it all on tape as an insurance policy. I've got it all on tape. I can even tell you where the accounts are. I can tell you how we transferred the money so you investigators couldn't find it. And I've got it all on tape. I've got Biden on tape, on 2 tapes, admitting he's taken the bribe and what it's for. And I've got 15 on Hunter. And the guy just won't shut up. So they've got Joe Biden now by the tonsils. And Biden is asked by a New York Post reporter, point blank, do you believe there are tapes? And did you admit on those audio recordings that you took bribes and sold out the country? Biden walks down the hall, turns around, and laughs at the reporter. This condescending laugh. And he just turns back and keeps right on walking. In other words, like a gangster. What are you going to do about it? And almost as if you think he's going to release that tape? if he knows what's good for him and Ukraine and Zelensky, those tapes better stay in his safe. Now, it's the same thing the day before when Trump was arrested and arraigned in Miami. He was asked, and he's just smiling. He's just smiling. He's taunting Trump. He's taunting Trump's supporters. He's laughing to our face. That's what he's doing. He's laughing to our face. And the reason why he's laughing to our face is because he looks at these Republicans up on Capitol Hill and he says, this? That's why he's laughing. This? They don't have the balls. They don't have the guts. They can't even censure Schiff. They're going to impeach me. And that's why the Democrats keep doing what they do. I wouldn't fear them. If I were in their shoes, would you fear them? I wouldn't fear them. Who fears Kevin McCarthy? Who fears Steve Scalise? Who fears these guys? Yeah, Mitt Romney. Yak, yak, yak. Mitch McConnell. Yak, 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 yak. Who fears a Chihuahua? No disrespect to Chihuahuas. Honestly, they're beautiful, adorable dogs. But, I mean, yeah. Who fears a poodle? Yeah, okay. Give me a pit bull. Get me a German Shepherd. Get me a Doberman. Then, suddenly, whoa, this thing will bite my head off. Whoa. So, that's the problem. In a nutshell, that's the problem. So, until we get rid of these rhinos, these globalists, these establishment Republican useless shills, then we're going to keep losing. And I believe now that they are in the party deliberately to sabotage. You want to talk about insurance policies? These rhinos are the Democrats' constant insurance policies. In other words, with them inside the fifth columnists, with them constantly inside the Republican Party, the Democrats face no real threat, and they know it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Gary in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Gary, and welcome.
Well, thank you. Good morning to you. I've been listening all morning. Frankly, I haven't just lost faith in the Republican Party. I'm losing faith in our entire government system because every time you turn around, another agency gets, esoterically indicted for corruption. The FBI, the CIA, the IRS, they're all complicit. I mean, you can see it. It's just a horrible spectacle to see this country go. You know what I think really this boils down to? I think the American public, for the most part, is brain dead. They've been inoculated against the truth by consumerism, Madison Avenue, how much is in the refrigerator, what the television programming, who's playing sports this week. They don't pay attention to the things that are going to really matter down the road for their children. The freedom that they so wonderfully enjoy right now. My father's probably turning over in his grave. He was on Okinawa in the worst firefight in human history. He put his life on the line for this country. He's got to be vomiting in his own skull. It's just it's such a carnage to watch. And, I believe, really, that the Democrats, they aren't the culprits here. And I don't think the people that are the rhino Republicans are. I think they all take orders. That's what I believe. They're told this is what you're going to do. This is what they're all incredibly wealthy. How do you do that on a stupid salary for a congressman? Now, they get their nest feathered and they get everything padded and their life is wonderful and they're an establishmentarian. And now and then, a Margie Taylor Greene or Carrie Lake come around and upset the apple cart. And Donald Trump, I mean, he really blew it out of the water. That's why they're so scared of him. He was naive when he went into the presidency the first time. If he goes into the presidency this time, his eyes are open and he's not stupid. If they think for 1 minute they're going to pull the stuff they pulled on him last time, they got another thing coming, and they know it. because you can see how frightened they are. This is so amazing. We're the crux right here. We are at a place.
Well, you're dead on. No, look, Gary, you're making so much sense. You really are. And you're frankly saying a lot of stuff that Grace and I say, at the dinner table or late at night when we're just talking before we go to bed. And Gary, I don't know why we're shocked by this, because our founding fathers literally warned us. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So you keep giving the government, especially the federal government, more and more and more power. Someone mentioned George Orwell earlier. That was also his warning. I mean, he did it kind of in a British way as a writer, writing in 1984, An Animal Farm. But it was that same message. Watch out for the corruption of power. And especially absolute power, totalitarian or authoritarian power. So the FBI has become so big, the IRS so big, 87,000 new agents, the Department of Justice, the CIA, the deep state, so big, so powerful. They believe they now run the country. They're trampling on our freedoms. They trample on the Constitution. They trample on our liberties. And you have all these politicians who are bought and paid for or bullied and intimidated. Many of them are being openly blackmailed. I mean, it's an open secret in Washington. So our founding fathers always told us, don't give politicians that kind of power. We gave you a republic for you. For you. Always keep liberty and power for you. Never cede it to the politicians. They will always try to give you an excuse. Remember, Benjamin Franklin kept saying, don't exchange liberty for security. Because in the end, you will get neither. You'll lose your liberty and you still won't get security. So don't do it. But we did. And here we are. Here we are. Gary, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. The only thing I would slightly disagree with Gary is, look, and I said this to Grace again last night. I mean, I blew my top after this vote. I've always said this. You can take this to the bank. The first socialist or Marxist was Lucifer, Satan. The first rhino was Judas. Well, say what you want about the Democrats. They're the enemy. Say what you want about progressives, socialists, the left. They're the devil. They're the enemy. And they make no bones about it. They tell you, like the devil tells you, I want your soul. So I know they're the enemy. And they tell us they're the enemy. So in a way, I can respect that. But I'll tell you what I can't respect is when you come into my home, like the rhinos, into our party, and act like you're our friend, and act like you're our ally, and act like you're one of us, like Judas. Remember, he kissed Jesus on the cheek, the kiss of Judas. I will never betray you, my Lord. Never. No. And Jesus says, no, you're going to be the one that gives me up. Never. No. Look, I kiss your cheek. How much I love you. And of course, he sold them for 30 pieces of silver. To be stabbed in the back, you can't win. You can beat your enemy. You can beat the devil. You can beat Satan. You can beat evil. But not if you're constantly being shivved in the back. And that's the role that the rhinos play. And if you want to know, here, it's very simple. To me, there's a very simple calculus now. Who do they want to put in jail? You want to know who's the real deal? Very simple. Who do they want to put in jail? Trump and now DeSantis. Okay? That's all I need to know. If they don't want to put you in jail, then you know they're one of them. Really, it's that simple. So when I see Chris Christie on ABC News with Steffi Stephanopoulos, if they tolerate him on ABC or put a Adam Kinzinger or a Liz Cheney on This is CNN, then you know they're a collaborator. They're a Judas. Say what you want about the media and say what you want about the Democrats. They always know which Republican to prop up. because they know when we need them to stab them in the back, they'll be right there. So, on the Trump pardon, right, because this is the biggest issue in the country, they want to jail the leading political candidate, Biden's chief rival, on the Espionage Act. I mean, it's so ridiculous, it's laughable. Mike Pence, Judas Pence, says on CNN, I don't want to commit to a pardon. I'm not comfortable with pardon. No, I'm very disturbed by these allegations, Judas. Krispy Kreme. Manja. It's time to eat, Christy. Manja. I will never pardon Trump. In fact, I believe in the DOJ. I believe in the FBI. I believe in my friend Chris Wray. All of them are now showing their true colors. Every single one of them. So you can tell who's a real threat and who isn't a real threat by the way the media and the Democrats treat them. You see, they respect Mitt Romney. They respect Mitch McConnell. They respect Lindsey Graham. They respect Chris Sununu up in New Hampshire. Now, he's going on about Trump being guilty. You should not pardon Trump. Trump belongs in jail. And now he's everywhere. MSNBC loves him. CNN loves him. ABC News, they just love the guy. So you can always tell who's the traitor, who's the Judas, who isn't. When the Irish won their war for independence against the British, you know how they won it? Michael Collins and Eamon de Valera said, we have to take out the traitors within our movement. Once we purge the traitors, we can wage a frontal assault on the British. That's how the Irish won. And that's the only way we're going to win. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Lisa in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Lisa, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. So I have a thought, and I've been thinking this since November of 2020. It always bothered me that Republicans go and campaign in red states, right, or the red part of a state, and they don't go where they don't think they can get the votes. And the Democrats do the same. The difference between a Democrat is every registered Democrat is a Democrat. Every registered Republican is a Republican, but there's that 40% in the middle that they really just don't know, right? So I say we probably can't get a third party going in time enough for 2024. But what we could do is all Republicans go out and change the affiliation to independent, to unenrolled, because now they don't know which way is up. And you still basically know the Democrats are the Democrats, but nobody really knows who the Republicans are. And then you go and recruit and get unaffiliated people to run that are on our side. And the same thing would happen when they put bills up on the floor and this and that and the other. Like Bernie Sanders is unenrolled. He's not even a Democrat. But we know where he stands, but that's a Bernie Sanders. But we have to try to confuse them, and we have to try to get them into the places that are embedded with Democrats. They don't do that. Our message is the right one. Our message is the real one. We're looking to save the country. But if you don't tell people, and we lost the media. I mean, we've lost them for decades anyway, but now in the last 8, 10, since Obama, the media is gone, and the rest of the country who's not paying attention only listens to the headlines and in the quick clicks. So what kind of a plan can we come up with between now and 2024 to be able to get people that wouldn't normally be on our side, and we have to try to confuse the system somehow. Because I mean, I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent and have been for years, but I was born and raised a Democrat. I only changed my affiliation when they wouldn't let me pull my primary.
No, I hear you. You're asking the $64,000 question, and I'm going to answer it right after the break. Another huge, disappointing defeat. This time, the failure of Republicans. To be accurate, 20 of them, nearly 200 did vote to censure Adam Schiff, but 20 Rhino Judas Republicans, nope. They couldn't even condemn the guy in a censure vote. Humiliating defeat for Republicans. Schiff now triumphant, bragging, saying the lunatics have taken over the asylum. How dare they even try to censure him? Democrats now crowing that the Republican House majority is impotent. 617-266-6868 is the number. So just to get to Lisa's point, she's right. I think the majority of the country now are independents. Both registration for Republicans and Democrats is going down. I think people clearly see that the two-party system is failing. It's corrupt. It's a uniparty. The establishment is betraying ordinary voters and ordinary people. I think there's no question. And is there time to start a third party before November 2024? No. No, there's just not enough time. That's just a reality. And I think what Republicans need to understand, especially Republican quote-unquote elites, and what I mean by elites is I don't mean they're elite as in they're exceptional. I mean elites as in leaders of the party, the donors, the Republican leadership. They need to understand one very important fact. We don't need them. They need us. And I get emails all the time from many Republicans who listen to the show, and they go, oh, your blind faith in Trump. Oh, it's time to jump ship. He's going down. And I'm like, first of all, I don't blindly follow any person. I just don't. If you want to know, it's my creator. It's God and Jesus. That's who I follow. I know people are flawed. I know every human being is flawed. What Republicans, especially establishment Republicans, refuse to accept and understand and wrap their mind around is the seminal fact that the deep state now runs this country, that a corrupt ruling class runs this country. And what they are doing to Trump is they are trying to set an example against him, but they're going to use it to anyone who challenges the system. We will destroy you. And there's nothing you can do about it to stop us. So this is like the Sudetenland, as I said earlier, politically. You think sacrificing Trump will appease him? You're wrong. It's only going to embolden and empower him. As I said in my column, they're coming after all of us. Today it's Trump. Tomorrow it's DeSantis. After tomorrow, it's you and me. So you need to understand that you may think throwing Trump overboard saves you. You may think giving the Sudetenland saves you. It doesn't. Appeasement doesn't work. It's never worked. And what many don't understand is that the 75 million who voted for Trump, that political army is loyal to the America First or MAGA movement. What we stand for, to make America great again. We believe in core fundamental principles. We don't follow any one person. If Trump falls, someone else will pick up the mantle. We're just using the Republican Party as a vehicle. But if this vehicle is not convenient for us, we can create our own vehicle. So this idea, it's a fiction. They're like, well, just throw Trump, throw him overboard, and replace him with a Republican. And we're going to win, Jeff. We'll beat Biden. I'm like, you people just don't get it, do you? No other Republican can get the crowds that Trump does. No other Republican can get 75 million, now most likely 85, 90 million votes. You think Chris Christie can get 80 million votes? Are you on crack? You think Nikki Haley can get 80 million votes? Mike Pence? I don't care any one of them. The only one, because he is tied to the MAGA movement and because he's got a phenomenal record as governor, who could potentially beat Biden and challenge the deep state, is Ron DeSantis. That's why this race is Trump 1, DeSantis now very distant second, and there's nothing else. And those are the two they want to put in jail. Hello? By the way, do you think, Tim Scott, do you think the Democrats would ever allow a black man, a black Republican, to become president of the United States and break their stranglehold on the black vote? Again, are you on crack? So this idea that somehow you plug out Trump and you plug in some other guy with an R and presto, another 75, 80 million votes. You're dreaming. MAGA is committed to certain fundamental policies and beliefs. The Republican leadership isn't. The donor class that controls them isn't. The globalists, in fact, that control them are our enemies. They're frankly the country's enemies. So, if we take that 75 million and we start a third party, the Republican Party is finished. Like the old Whigs. Bye-bye. So, we want you to censure Adam Schiff. And if you don't have the guts or the balls to do it, we'll create our own party and we'll do it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, another Republican humiliation. This time, 20 Judas rhinos refused to censure Adam Schiff. 20 of them. 2 others voted present. 3 others just didn't vote. So 25 in all. But anyway, the 20, the coward 20 as they're now called, sided with the Democrats, and Schiff escaped censure and a possible fine for repeatedly lying to the American people about the Russia collusion hoax. 617-266-6868. It's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Can the Republican Party be saved? That's the question. In other words, is it time to get rid of the Republican Party? Do you think the Republican Party is now eventually going to be swept into the dustbin of history? I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. As always, you can vote via Twitter, our handle there, at the Kuhner Report, KUH, N as in Nancy, ER. To me, the only salvation for the Republican Party is the MAGA movement, the America First movement. That's where they get their 75 million. That's their base. That's their votes. That's their energy. That's their dynamism. Frankly, that's the agenda, which is a pro-American, pro-working, pro-middle-class agenda. You take away MAGA and the Republic, you take away the guts. You rip out the heart and soul of the what's left now of the Republican Party. So I think these people need to understand. You want to run your dinky rhinos You want to run your Chris Sununu's and Charlie Bakers and Larry Hogan's and Chris Christie's and Liz Cheney's, and you want to run them? Go ahead. You're lucky if you get 2-3 million votes across the country. The heart and soul of the Republican Party is with Trump. And we want Adam Schiff censored. We don't want the rhinos. We don't need the rhinos. So my question to you, can the Republican Party be saved? My prediction, if they don't win in 2024, or if they don't stand up and defend Trump, they're finished. They're finished. Because I believe we will go third party after 2024 if Trump is put in jail and the useless Republicans do nothing. You will see the birth of an independent third party. And like the old Republicans who swept the Whigs away, this will sweep the Republicans away. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. And let me just ask all of you, when you vote for the Republicans, do you feel they have your back? No, honestly. Do they represent you? Do they fight for you? Do they defend your values, your interests, your needs? Do you feel like, boy, I've got someone in my corner? Or do you feel constantly that they let you down? That ultimately they're a bunch of wusses. A bunch of pathetic, ballless, sackless cowards. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Eddie in Chelsea. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
Hello, Kuhner. This is why we love you, because you don't follow a party, you don't follow a man, you follow God, the only person that really matters. And that's the issue with people associating with parties. What we need are men of principle, men of God, patriots who will defend the country. And as we can see from the time that Trump got out of office, he had the opportunity to set up a third party, but he wanted to give the Republicans a chance to fight. And as you can see, they refused to fight. So Republicans, Democrats, they're not about the country. They're about the party. So we need people who care about the country. Like Trump shows he loves the country and wants to push forward. He's not the man that people expected, but he's proven to be the man of the moment.
Oh, I agree. Very well said. Very eloquent and very articulate. Eddie, thank you very much for that call. Extremely well said. He really has now become the man of the moment. I think there's no question. And really, at the core, he's a patriot. What is the movement about? Is patriotism. Political patriotism, economic patriotism, national patriotism. Patriotism. That's really the essence of the movement. And he's now a patriot. And because he's a patriot, he's now being vilified and destroyed. Or they're trying to vilify and destroy him. Now, the one thing I want to stress to everybody, please, this is very, very important. They're strong on top. The uniparty, the ruling class, the swamp, as Trump calls them, whatever you want to call them. Yes, they dominate the media. Yes, they dominate academia. Yes, they dominate Hollywood. Yes, they dominate the lobbyists and the Democrat establishment and the Republican establishment. There's no question. But they're very thin on the ground. They're very thin. We have the numbers. We are the biggest, most popular, largest political movement in the history of the democratic world. And that's why they have to put Trump in jail. In an election, we will destroy Biden. In the primary, he will wipe out everybody. And if you combine his numbers with with DeSantis's numbers, because most DeSantis voters are MAGA people. They just disagree on who should be leading the movement. Hey, we're unstoppable. We're literally unstoppable. So what I'm trying to say is, don't feel despaired. You shouldn't feel alone. In fact, quite the opposite. We are the majority. That's why they have to put them behind bars. Because they can't beat us. We have the numbers. They don't. Now, the question is, how do we lead this movement? How do we make this movement permanent? And how do we get a political party that will properly represent us and our values and our aspirations? That's the only issue. So please don't ever feel alone or isolated, because I'm telling you, there are more of us than there are of them. And the polls show it. Don't even take my word for it. Trump is destroying Biden after everything he's endured, after all the way he's been tainted and smeared and attacked and vilified and indicted and arrested and branded a criminal and a terrorist and an insurrectionist and a Nazi and a fascist. He's still beating them in the polls. So please we don't need the Republicans. Like, that's what I just find amazing. I'm like, and the least you can do, guys, we're not asking for the freaking moon here. If anything is a slam dunk, this is it. Just censure Adam Schiff. The guy made a mockery of himself. Congress, the House Intelligence Committee, the president, he lied through his teeth. He's a serial pathological liar, one of the most hated men in Congress. Even the Democrats admit the guy's a liar. And who, by the way, was condemned by the House Committee on Ethics as a liar and someone who abused his position. And you still can't vote to censure the guy. You should have an L stamped to your forehead. Loser. 617-266-6868. Stacy in Rockaway. Thanks for holding, Stacy, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. You are my favorite. I listen to you every morning.
Oh, thank you, Stacy.
So you had a caller earlier who said that Republicans should go independent, and that would mess up their polling, so on and so forth. I say every Republican should go Democrat. That way, in a state like mine, where you can't vote in a primary that you're not affiliated with, people can vote in the Democrat primary, vote for RFK, because he's the least objectionable Democrat there is. It would give him a running chance against Biden. We know Trump or DeSantis is going to be the Republican.
Please hang on. Coming right back. Okay, let's go right back to Stacy in Rockaway. Stacy, you were talking about being an independent and how maybe it's time for Republicans to vote in the Democrat primary in order to support RFK Jr., because at least there you can make your vote count and send a message to Joe Biden. Please, Stacy, pick up where you left off.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea, because first of all, RFK is definitely a Democrat I could get behind. I mean, I don't agree with everything, but he's the least objectionable Democrat, and he actually has some really good policies. So I think that you send the message to Biden, and Trump or DeSantis get in, and then in the general election. Now, this is out of the Rush Limbaugh playbook. He did this when Hillary Clinton was running against Obama. He suggested that Republicans vote in the Democrat primary, and if Hillary hadn't dismissed Michigan and Florida, she could have been the candidate instead of Obama.
Stacey,
but she completely dismissed.
Oh no, I agree. No, I agree. Look, and I think RFK Jr. is infinitely better than Joe Biden. There's no question, and especially here in Massachusetts, but frankly, even up in New Hampshire. I think you can send a real message. RFK can win Massachusetts in the primary against Biden, and he can win up in New Hampshire. And believe me, that would ring the establishment's bell. It would be a humiliating defeat for Biden. I think there's no question. Stacey, are you giving up hope on the Republican Party?
I gave up hope a long time ago. I'm right now. I just feel like I'm treading water until we become officially a socialist state. I just keep praying that this turns around, but I don't see it happening. And what do you do? What do you do when people can riot in black masks and nothing happens, but people peacefully protest and they're still rounding them up? It's disgusting, and it's just so unbelievable that I live in this country. This is not the country I grew up in, and it's not the country I want for my children. And it's very disheartening, and it's very sad.
Stacey, thank you very much for your call. You're pretty much summing up what I feel, and I think what many in the audience are feeling. We want some fighters now. We need patriots. And I think that's why Trump is just surging in the polls, because he's fearlessly taking on the left. He's not afraid. And that's what we need. We need leadership. 617-266-6868. Tom in Ohio. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff, when I heard this last night, I was just shocked at these Judases. And Jeff, you had asked a question this morning, and you had said, "Is our republic gone?" And you know what, Jeff? I would like to answer that in a song verse, if you would bear with me.
Go ahead, Tom.
Singing, bye, bye, our republic just died. Luna censored Adam Schiff, but the votes came up dry. Those 20 rhinos are drinking whiskey and rye, singing Trump is going bye-bye. Trump is going bye-bye.
Tom, that is really good. That is, Tom, bravo, man. That is really, really, really good. Tom, is it time to primary these rhinos? I mean, in other words, do we got to start sending a message? We're just not going to put up with this kind of betrayal anymore. We're done. We're tired. The country can't afford it.
I asked Sandy when I was holding, I said, what does it take for them to cast a vote to censor the guy? I mean, what does he have to do? And what's disappointing is, Thomas Massey from Kentucky, and I can't believe Warren Davidson from Ohio voted not to censor this guy. Davidson's MAGA. He was anti-vax. He was all the way. So I don't know if they're on medication or something, Jeff, but we got to get up there. There has to be patriots.
I think they're being blackmailed. I mean, I have no evidence for that. I'm speaking from the heart. I think there's something being held over them, because some of these votes make no sense to me. None whatsoever. So I don't know if there's something they've got on them and they're leveraging it or whatever it may be, but inexcusable, unforgivable. Tom, again, fantastic job. Thank you so much, Tom. 617-266-6868. And, just stand back for a second. The Democrats impeached Trump twice on nothing. On nothing. The second impeachment, the guy was out of office. On the first impeachment, we now know not only was it a perfectly good phone call, we now know everything that's coming out regarding Burisma. Trump was 1,000% correct. They, in fact, should rescind the first impeachment. And they still impeached. In fact, to give the Democrats their due, I hate to praise the devil, but, to give the devil his due. They're already saying, if Trump wins in 2024, they're impeaching. It's a year and a half away. They don't even know what crime they're going to impeach him for. They're already saying, no, we're impeaching. We want you to know that if he wins this thing, we're impeaching him. And now they're saying the same thing for DeSantis. They go, by the way, we want you to know, if DeSantis somehow wins the nomination and then he beats Biden in the election, where day one we're impeaching him. We're impeaching him. But what are you impeaching him for? Well, we'll find something. We're just going to impeach. These guys, they impeach, forget censure. Forget, a condemnation, a slap on the wrist in Congress. No. They impeach at the drop of a hat. And I'll tell you this, they'll get 218 if they have the majority. I don't care if it's Nancy Pelosi. I don't care if it's Hakeem Jeffries. It doesn't, have you noticed? It doesn't matter who runs the Democrats. Like good communists, they all stick together. Thick as thieves. Us. I shank you. You shank me. I stab you. You stab me. Now you know why. Biden is laughing in our face. 617-266-6868. Victor in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Victor, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. You are America's morning man as far as I am concerned.
Thank you,
And
Victor.
in the evening, Mark Levin is our American man. Bookends. You got to go national.
Thank you.
Go national. Okay. Here in the People's Republic of Maryland, you either have to be a Democrat or a Republican to vote in the primary. If you're an independent, you can't vote in the primary. Rush called it Operation Chaos when he told everybody to vote for Hillary instead of for Barack Obama. And I like that idea to get behind and vote for RFK Jr. Something else I've been thinking about. You're right, Jeff. They're being blackmailed because there is a slush fund especially set up so if a congressperson gets in trouble, like having an affair, they can go to this slush fund and pay off whoever is blackmailing them and, skate by. Another thing I've been thinking about, have you ever heard of the Tippecanoe curse?
No.
Okay. In 1840, some Indian was so upset with the Great White Father, he put a curse on saying any president who is elected with a 0 is going to be either assassinated or die in office. I'll start with Lincoln. He was assassinated in 1865. He was elected in 1860. You got Garfield in 1880. McKinley, I think, in 1900. I may have them reversed. Harding, 1920. Teapot Dome, he died in office. Roosevelt died in office, 1945. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. He was elected in 1960. Reagan broke the curse, even though someone tried to assassinate him. Bush broke the curse in 2000. I'm wondering, will the curse come back on Biden?
I don't think so. Look, anything can happen, Victor, but I look at him and this guy, this is now the scandal of the century. You've got the President of the United States fingered, detailed by an FBI informant, having taken $5 million in a bribe. His son, another $5 million. In exchange for favors for Ukraine. When he was the point man under Obama. Nothing. In fact, the media won't even cover it. Speaking of the Russia collusion hoax, they covered that lie, that fiction, that what they invented They covered that every second, every hour, every day, every week, every month, for year after year after year after year. People were going to throw up. They kept hearing about it over and over again. This, a president paid to play, caught on tape. They've got the guy on tape, taking bribes. 5 million that we know of. We know there's a lot more, but they got him for the 5 mil. And the oligarch is bragging, it's my insurance policy. In case I need protection, I have the big guy on tape. And they still won't impeach him. And it's just unbelievable. So then you say, okay, well, you can't impeach. It's too much for you guys. Because, you know, you guys are a bunch of cowards. You have no spine. You have no guts. You have no courage. As the Spanish say, you have no cojones. None. Could you at least censure Adam Schiff? I mean, the House Ethics Committee said he lied. He abused his power. He abused his position. Everybody knows he did. So, you know, the guy's a serial pathological liar who plunged the country for 4 years into hell by claiming the president was a traitor and an agent of Russia, when he knew the exact opposite was true. So could you just, you know, like slap the guy on the wrist, condemn him, shame him a little bit, a little censure? No, it's too much. It's too much. They're members of the deep state. The deep state is either blackmailing them or they're covering up for the deep state or whatever it is. But these Republicans are completely compromised. Completely. Victor, it's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Thank you for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. No, really, it's getting to the point. I said this to Grace last night. What does Biden have to do to get impeached? Like, really? Like, I mean, you know, so selling the country down the river, no. Taking bribes, no. Lining the pockets of him and his family, no. Influence peddling, no. Pay to play, no. So what is it? I mean, really, if they caught him on tape snorting cocaine and molesting children, they still, I'm not kidding, they come out and say, well, I don't know if the suburban soccer moms, I don't know how the swing voters would go. We did a focus group with Frank Luntz, and the focus group say they want us to get together and be bipartisan. So let's no, I don't think we should impeach. No. The guy is senile. Here, again yesterday. Again. The guy doesn't know what planet he's on. He humiliated himself again yesterday. Every day, he blurts out stuff. People cannot believe what is coming out of this guy's mouth on his own. Now he's claiming that gays are being thrown out of restaurants. I swear to you. He just starts making stuff up. He doesn't call them the transgender community. He calls them the transgesture community. It just, I'm not kidding. It just goes on and on and on with this guy. So they got to wake him up at 10. Basically, he's done by 3 or 4. Fridays, he can't work. He just can't. So it's at least 3-day weekends. The guy can barely function. It doesn't matter. It just all doesn't matter. They will not impeach no matter what he does. Or to be more accurate, what Obama tells him to do. 617-266-6868. Chuck in Marshfield. Thanks for holding, Chuck, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. Hey,
Hi,
Jeff,
Chuck.
I was talking to one of your biggest fans the other day, my buddy Joe from Sharon. Tremendous veteran. He's a veteran, tremendous American. And we were discussing the fact that on a couple of occasions you've talked about the possibility of Trump being, killed or assassinated in order to keep him from returning to power. And we're thinking that is such a horrific possibility that we don't even think it should really be discussed. We think it kind of sets a bad precedent, and I wanted to get your opinion of that.
Well, Chuck, to be candid, I mean, look, I have to tell you, Chuck, it's, to me, something so abominable. I think it would do such damage to the country. You're right. A part of me doesn't even want to think it, but everybody's saying it. Trump's people are saying it. Trump himself is very worried about it. So is Melania. So are his children. His children have come out and said and warned that they're worried about their father's safety. And in a way, you say it to protect Trump. Because after people like me say it, the deep state knows we're going to blame them. The deep state knows we're going to hold them responsible. And I think that's the only check on them. Because I guarantee you they're thinking it. They're thinking it. They're planning for it. It's a contingency. And it may be their last option. This is my fear. If they can't put him in jail, that could be their last option. And I don't put it past them. They have killed a lot of people in the past. They kill people with impunity in foreign governments, but now we're starting to see even here. And that's another reason why I want to really praise RFK Jr. Because he's come out and laid it all out, saying they killed my father, RFK Jr., said they killed Bobby Kennedy, and they killed my uncle, John F. Kennedy. And he goes, you want to know the truth? The Kennedy family in private says, yeah, the CIA killed Jack, and they killed Bobby. So they killed the president, and then they killed Bobby Kennedy in 1968 because they feared he was going to win the nomination and end the war in Vietnam. So, they've done things like this before. So we have to let them know we're onto them. You're not going to you think you're going to pull it off, you're not going to pull it off. So don't even think it. So, Chuck, all I'm just saying is this. Sometimes sunlight is the best disinfectant. We need to shed a spotlight on these people because they're like vampires. They live in the dark. They live in the shadows. And I want them to know we know. We know. So, for their sake, they better not do anything. They better not touch a hair on Trump's head.
What I worry about, though, is the possibility of just when you plant a seed like this, there might be a nut out there that just decides, hey, I want to be infamous. I want to go down in history, for taking out the president. I worry about that as well.
Well, Chuck, it's not me that's planting the seed. I mean, that's the other thing I've been very upset about. That's why Schiff, among so many reasons, should have been censured. The left have been calling for Trump to be assassinated now for years. I mean, they're encouraging people to kill him. They want him dead. They're celebrating. In fact, I'm telling you, this is the analogy they use. This is how frightening it is. If you could go back in a time machine and kill Hitler in the 1920s, would you do it? And they're like, yeah. Well, can you allow Trump to get another term? Now, what they're clearly saying is somebody needs to off him. So MSNBC is planting that seed. CNN is planting that seed. The Democrats are planting that seed. Liberals all over social media are planting that seed. The only one that's saying you better not do it is Jeff Kuhner. I believe, and I got to tell you this, Chuck, believe me, I got to be careful how I phrase this. Trump's family, Trump's inner circle, Trump himself, infinitely grateful that I'm warning the deep state not to do it. Because Trump now believes his only protection is that we know this could come and we're on guard and we're going to hold the deep state responsible. They're not going to get away with it. They're not going to say, oh, it was some crazy Oswald guy, some deranged crazy person. No, It was them, and we're going to go after them. So, Chuck, someone has to protect the president. If no one else has the guts, I will. I don't know if we lost Chuck or not. Chuck, really interesting call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Lines are loaded. Bob in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff, for taking my call. You know, I'm very disheartened today, all week long with the Trump thing going on. And as long as we have people like Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney and people like that in the Republican Party, we will never survive because Mitch McConnell is awful. I don't believe a word that guy says. I don't see him doing anything to help us, ever. And he just got reelected last year, right? So we got to stuck with him for another 5 years or so?
You know, look, Bob, you're right. McConnell, well, he's worse than useless. To me, useless is he just doesn't do anything. McConnell is a traitor. He's trying to Mitch. He and his family heavily invested in the family business, which has a lot of business with China, in their shipping transportation company. He's essentially on the take. Now, it's through his wife and his wife's family, but he's on the take. And he's worth, or his family's worth, north of $80 million. So basically, 100 million buys you the leader of the Republicans in the Senate. So he actively works against the interests of the United States. But to be fair to Mitch on this, I agree with you on Mitch. Please don't get me wrong, Bob. But, this vote wasn't in the Senate. This vote was in the House. And McCarthy couldn't muster 218. So what does that say about his leadership? Or, his wingman, Steve Scalise, or the whip. It's really the whip who's supposed to be rounding up these votes. He can't even get 20 Republicans to say we're going to censure Schiff. If it was Pelosi, I guarantee you she would have gotten the votes. I guarantee it. And this is, Bob, what I don't understand. Look at the Democrats. They didn't just impeach Trump twice. They've now indicted him twice. Biden, essentially, forget Jack Smith and Merrick Garland. They answer to Biden. Well, everyone answers to Obama. But I'm just saying, ultimately, he's, the commander-in-chief. So Garland answers to Biden. Jack Smith answers to Garland. So last year, Joe Biden openly said, he was at a meeting, G7, came out to reporters and said, I want all of you to know, Trump, and this is the key, and his movement, the MAGA movement, so that's why they're going after DeSantis now. Anyone who believes in America first will never be allowed to go to the White House again. We will use the power of the government to make sure they never, ever get elected or return to the White House again. And he laughed and he smirked and wink, wink, and you know what I mean. Well, this is what he means. So the Democrats now jail their opponents. They're jailing Republicans. They indict former presidents and leading presidential candidates. They arrest them. Never mind impeach them. They arrest them. And these losers can't even censure Adam Schiff. And by the way, a lot of people are saying, what's the difference between censor and censure? Well, censure is basically, it's like a condemnation, an official condemnation of the House. It's not censor, like he can't speak, or you're preventing him or muzzling his voice. He's not being censored. He can still speak. He can say whatever he wants. He's being censured, meaning an official condemnation in the House, in Congress. It'll be a permanent stain and mark on the career of Adam Schiff. They couldn't even do that. That's why the Democrats are winning. That's why we're losing. And honestly, Bob, to go back to my column, which anyone can still read, WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner, the day America died. That's why they're imposing a police state, really now a dictatorship, an authoritarian regime right in front of our eyes. Because there's no political pushback. If there's no political pushback, I know there's pushback from you and from me and from this incredible audience, of course, but from the feckless, yellow-livered, pathetic Republicans, there's nothing. Outside of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Anna Paulina Luna, and you have a couple of Nancy Mace, you have a couple, Matt Gaetz, but these are a handful. But outside of a handful of patriots, there's no pushback. There's nothing. Biden doesn't fear them. The deep state doesn't fear them. That's why they know. Again, I go back to the Sudetenland. Hitler didn't fear the Czechs. He didn't fear the French. He didn't fear Chamberlain. And when they gave up the Sudetenland, he goes, boys, just keep on going. That's what we're seeing right now. So, Bob, to me, it's not just Mitch McConnell or Mitt Romney. I look at Kevin McCarthy. I go, a loser is a loser is a loser.
Well, anyway, that's why I feel so down. All the stuff that's going on. I don't know. I don't know what. I'm afraid people are going to stop voting because of all of this.
No, I'll tell you, they want us to, but Trump is the wild card, and that's why I'm backing him all the way, because Trump is standing up to these crooks and these traitors, and he's going to have an army of support, and that's what they fear. Remember, a regime only imprisons someone if they know they're a threat. Trump is a mortal threat to their power and their privilege. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, some really, really good text messages coming in. Let me just read a couple. 70470, 70470, if you want to text into the Kuhner Report. Okay, this is from 508. Jeff, what is the country talking about? Driven, obviously, the media. Trump and his indictments. What are they not talking about? Biden's crimes in Ukraine, of course. But more importantly, the media are not talking about Biden's push now to quickly pop Ukraine into NATO. And this is true, by the way. They're now fast-tracking Ukraine into NATO. And what are the Russians doing? And 508 continues. Jeff, and how Putin is getting tactical nuclear weapons ready at the Ukrainian border. Putin has been very consistent about his red line, and that's NATO. These globalist criminals are going to maybe start World War III to cover up their crimes. Now, that's why it's not just that the president is a crook and a traitor and a criminal who has been bribed by the leading oligarch. He doesn't just own Burisma. He financed Zelensky's election campaign. Mykola Zlochevsky. So he's the power behind Zelensky. So we know that Zelensky's blackmailing the president. We know Zlochevsky's blackmailing the president. In fact, he even says it. I've got audio recordings. I've got them on tape. I've got them. And we are sending in unlimited billions and billions of dollars into Ukraine. Much of it's stolen, but let that go. On the verge of World War III, we're fighting a proxy war against Russia. And as I speak to you, because Putin has said it repeatedly, Ukraine in NATO is our red line. And if we have to go to war with the West and NATO, we will do it. So now NATO troops are in Poland. They're in Lithuania. They're now been put on high alert. Tactical nuclear weapons have been moved to Belarus, which is an ally of Putin and an ally of Russia. And their leader is now warning he may use nuclear weapons. And the Russians are now moving up nuclear weapons closer to the Ukrainian border. Because they have to cover up that Ukraine is the money laundering center of the world for the globalists. Now, this is what we should all be talking about. This is the biggest story of our time. That the president is not just compromised and complicit, but that this complicity with the Ukrainians and this bribery and this extortion and blackmail could literally lead to nuclear Armageddon. At least the millions of dying in a nuclear war with Russia. And instead, they're going on about stupid documents that the president had every right to under the Presidential Records Act in Mar-a-Lago. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, many of you are asking, so I did it at 6:20. I will do it one more time. Many of you are saying, Jeff, please give out the names one more time of the coward 20. The rhinos who voted with the Democrats to protect Adam Piece of Schiff and vote against censure. Okay, here they are. So these are all the 20 Republican rhinos. Kelly Armstrong, North Dakota. Lori Chavez de Remer, Oregon. Juan Kiscomani, Arizona. Tom Cole, Oklahoma. Warren Davidson, Ohio. That one I got to say was a surprise because he's in theory a MAGA Republican. Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania. Kay Granger, Texas. Garrett Graves, Louisiana. Thomas Keene, New Jersey. Kevin Kiley, California. Young Kim, California. Michael Lawler, New York. That scumbag. Thomas Massey, another one. Really, in theory, very good constitutionalist Republican. What happened to him, I don't know. Thomas Massey, Kentucky. Tom McClintock, California. Marcus Molinaro, New York. Jay Obernolte, California. Michael Simpson, Idaho. Michael Turner, Ohio. David Valadao, California. Steve Womack, Arkansas. 2 Republicans voted present. Darrell Issa, California. That was a real surprise. And that loser, and he's as corrupt as they come. He's a liar, a pathological liar, like Biden. George Santos of New York. He's getting primaried. He's finished. So those 2 voted present. 3 Republicans didn't vote. Neil Dunn, Florida. Tony Gonzalez, Texas. Patrick McHenry, North Carolina. So basically, Republicans lost 25 votes. 20 voted against censure. 2 present. 3 played stupid. I mean, they may have a medical reason. I don't know. But how do you not show up for a vote like this? I mean, come on. To censure Adam Schiff? 617-266-6868. Bill in Stoneham. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Jeff, I have a solution to this problem, okay? What we should do is call it the Populist Party Vote by Recognition, okay? And, you know, we don't need names. They have a thing in sales called the KISS system. You ever hear of it?
No, I'm sorry, what is the KISS system?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Oh.
Okay? It's used in business all the time, and it works. Okay? So we keep it simple. They call it, we vote by the person, not by the party. Okay? Call it the MAGA party. You can call it the Populist Party. You can call it whatever you want. Okay? But we vote by the person. Okay? We limit 3 people to run for public office. President, vice president, and 1 in between that could go either way. That way they would have too many people running. This is ridiculous, having 17 people run, okay? I know somebody, okay, that ran on a state level, and he got told by one of the Republicans back in the 60s, you better get out because you're not going to win. 17 people were voting. 17 people were in that election, and Markey got in. And he had no experience. And if they don't go and vote for these major things you're talking about, they should be knocked out. You know, we need people to vote. We don't need people to show up. Anybody can go show up and sit there and listen. But if you're not going to vote, don't even run for public office.
Well, you know, Bill, I got to say, look, I agree with you. They got to be primaried. All of these Judases now have to lose they have to lose their seats. They have to lose their offices. Enough is enough. And, you know, look, and thank you for that call, Bill. I really appreciate it. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but the early republic, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Franklin, Hamilton, the giants, really the giants of America and the giants of the world, hated political parties. Hated them. And exactly what Bill was talking about. They said, vote for the candidate, vote for the person. And even then, there were parties, but they were very loose. Like, I can't tell you on how many issues, you know, the one party would, the Federalists would cross over and vote what they were called then the Democrat Republicans, eventually just the Democrats, but they would switch, you know, from the Federalists to the Democrat Republicans. The Democrat Republicans would then switch and vote with the Federalists. So the parties were very, very loose. Not like it is today. And they always said, vote for the patriot, vote on the issue, vote for the best person. And to me, that's why we need a third party. We need to give voters a real option. People that will put America and Americans first. And I'm with you, Bill. Whatever you want to call it. The America First Party, MAGA Party. It's the agenda. Your calls next. 617-266-6868 is the number. You know, Sandy made a really good point to me off air. She said, Jeff, look, here's what I think happened. I think a lot of these rhinos, you know, a lot of these Judas Republicans said, censure, schmensure. So what, you know, big deal. You censure the guy, you know, and so they said to themselves, what can I get from the Democrats in exchange? And she thinks they probably got concessions from Democrats, something for them or their districts or whatever it is, in exchange for voting against censuring Adam piece of Schiff. And as Sandy says, what they don't realize is you can't trust the Democrats. Just ask Joe Manchin. They got him to vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, promising this pipeline in West Virginia. And guess what? They screwed him on the pipeline in West Virginia. And now Manchin's left holding the bag. So I agree with her. I'm sure they must have cut some kind of a deal with the Democrats or with the deep state or whatever. And now they're going to feel rightly the wrath of their voters and their constituents. Now, very quickly, I could do this all show. You all know Schiff. You know his record. You know how many, and I'm saying really hundreds, not an exaggeration, 300-400 times. He went on CNN or MSNBC or ABC News or CBS or going on about how, behind closed doors, as the head of the Intelligence Committee, the evidence I've seen, Trump's a traitor. I can't divulge it. It's classified, but what I'm seeing, it's so disturbing. He must be impeached. He lied. There never was a shred of evidence. He lied and lied and lied. And not only did he lie, He was one of the key people driving the impeachment of Trump, and he drove the Russia collusion hoax. He invented it. He helped to invent it along with Hillary. And he pretended it was real when he knew it wasn't. Now, listen to him. This is one of the things the House Ethics Committee sanctioned him on. This is where they came out and said, you want to talk about misleading and lying to the American people? Here is Schiff. Remember now, at the time, he was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. And he's claiming that he's reading from a transcript. And this call that took place between Zelensky and Trump, he made the whole thing up. But this is what he read, and this was done in Congress, and it was read into the record. And the entire media covered it and treated it like it was true. Roll cut 134. Mike.
This is the essence of what the president communicates. We've been very good to your country. Very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it. On this and on that, I'm going to put you in touch with people, not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked. This is, in character, what the president was trying to communicate with the president of Ukraine.
He never said no such thing. Trump never said anything remotely close to this. It was all made up by Schiff. The whole damn thing. He made it all up. Now, again, it's not some backbencher on some podcast, half drunk, shooting his mouth off. The chairman at the time of the House Intelligence Committee read it into the official congressional record. And the media was like, oh, we said it 7 times? Oh, my God. He said, what? We've done this for you. We've done a lot for you. Now you're going to do something for me. You're going to find dirt. You're going to dig up dirt. You're going to make up dirt. You're going to do what you got to do. And you're going to report this to Bill Barr. Do you understand? Garbage, dreck, a lie, made up, fantasy. And the idiot moonbats swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. And the media repeated it over and over again. That's why to this day, even after the Durham report, after everything, you still have the Bills in Sudbury, the Bens in North Andover, the Chris's in Gloucester, all those moonbats that call the show, hey, colluded with Russia. Russia, Putin. Because of this. Naked lies and propaganda. And you loser Republican rhinos, you traitor 20, as many of you are now calling them, you guys can't even censure this? So let me get this straight. They lie to our face. They lie repeatedly to our face. They launch a witch hunt against an innocent man. They impeach him on false pretenses. They commit abuse of power after abuse of power. And we can't even hold them accountable in the most minimum way. It's censure. It's not impeachment. No one's throwing them out. It's censure. It's this. I'm slapping my wrist. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a stain. It's officially on the record. He was censured because he lied and misrepresented. And, basically it's a nice way of saying he's a scumbag. Okay, he's a scumbag and a pathological, incorrigible liar. But if nothing happens to the guy, nothing real happens to him, and you guys can't even vote for this? Seriously, blank off. Blank off. No, really. Hey, no. I don't want you in a foxhole with me. Please. You know what these guys remind me of? I swear to you. You know, you ever have a brother-in-law? Really? A brother-in-law, a cousin, whatever. And you know you need help moving? He's the guy, I'm telling you, these Republicans, these rhinos, they're the guys that when you're lifting the couch up the stairs and you're like, "Urgh," they're the guys who aren't doing any lifting. They're just holding and they're pretending that they're lifting. I mean, but they're not doing anything. And you're the one hauling the damn thing up yourself. That's what these guys are. I'm telling you. And you say to yourself, why did I even bother inviting them? Because I got to feed them. I got to order pizzas. I'm losing a fortune on this guy. And we're doing all the lifting, and this guy's pretending to lift the furniture. It's the exact same thing with these people. You're in a foxhole with them, and suddenly, boom, you just shot me in the leg, man. Oh, I'm sorry, it just went off. No, why can't you shoot at the end? Boom, you just shot me again. I don't want you in a foxhole with me. Please, don't shoot me in the back, because that's all you guys are good for. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Ed in Drake-it. Thanks for holding, Ed, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Ed.
I wanted, the third party, I've always thought that's the way to go, too. But the problem is this is what it would take for a third party really to succeed. It takes two main things, I think. Number one, it would take a charismatic leader to lead the party. And the second thing it would take is money, lots of money, because it's not good enough to have someone going third party who's running for president. We've had that before. Pat Buchanan, for example. It never went anywhere because the party is basically that one guy. It needs to be broader based. You need people in the party running for Congress, running for the Senate, for state office. It needs to be throughout government. And it takes lots and lots of money to fund those campaigns. And so who's the one guy who meets both of those criteria? It's Donald Trump, obviously. He's got the charisma and he's got the money to help get the new party off the ground. And if he were to announce that he was going third party, man, you'd see 75, 80 million defections from the Republican Party like that. They'd be dead overnight. The problem is I don't anticipate him doing that, but that's what it would take really for a third party to really have any chance to challenge either one of these parties, because they're so entrenched. They have so much money. It's like trying to remove them. It's like trying to pull out a tree stump. It's really, really hard to do.
You're right. I mean, Ed, look, obviously you're very learned. You make your analysis is surgical. It's logical. It's rational. It's compelling. There's no question about it. The wild card, and this is why everybody's very nervous, is there's real discontent in the country in a way I've never seen in my entire life. And you look at the RFK Jr. insurgency, and that's what it is. A lot of Democrats are not happy with Biden. A lot of people are miserable under Biden. And I'm talking Democrats, never mind Republicans and independents. And they see that the system is closed. What you're describing is almost like two criminal cartels, almost like two mafia families, the Uniparty, and they're just running the country. And, it's like the Corleone and the Lucchese family, except they're Democrat and Republicans. And so there's a fervor out there. There's a discontent. There's no, we're not going to listen anymore. We're done. We don't trust you. The biggest growing political affiliation in the country, it's not even close, are independents. So there's something going on in cities, towns, and voters across the country. The other thing is, look, I think everything depends on 2024. I think there's no question. If the Republican establishment, which I believe they're already starting to do, If they help the Democrats to put Trump behind bars, I think Trump is going to say, to hell with you, I'm blowing the whole thing up. I'm not going to run again. I'll be too old. I'm not going to run. But I have the billions. I have the money. I have the personality, the charisma, the guts. We are going to start, let's just call it an American party. We're going to start the American party, a third party. And I'm asking all of my MAGA supporters to come and join this new party. Everybody plunk $25 or $50 or whatever, get a party membership, and we're going to be rolling in dough. We're going to put candidates up for Congress, up for the vice presidency, the presidency, governorships, state legislatures, and I believe you're going to see within the Republican Party itself. Here, I can see Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, Representative Anna Paulina Luna. I can see many of them. I can see many senators saying, I'm defecting, I'm no longer a Republican. Put an A next to my name for American Party. I can see that happening with governors, automatically changing from Republican to A, from R to A. And then the Republican Party's in big trouble because the rhinos do not have a vision or a compelling agenda for the country. All they have is corruption and appeasement. Globalism is not popular with the American voter. And so you could see then the formation, the way the Republicans were formed in opposition to the Whigs. You could see the formation of a real powerful new party that will take deep roots quickly and then replace and supplant the Republican Party. I'm telling you, I would not be surprised. So the Republicans are now playing with fire. And they're stunned. There's stories now everywhere. The leadership, the people who voted against censure, they're like, oh, our lines are blowing up. Our inboxes are full. People are angry. Why is everybody so angry? Because we're tired of this. Censuring Adam Schiff is not the end of the world. I'm not saying it's the hill to die on. But if you can't even do this, it shows to me exactly who and what you are. And so they're playing with fire. If Trump goes down in 2024, I believe the Republican Party may go down with him.
With you, Jeff, I think the country is ripe for a major disruption to the establishment because you're right. We're sick of it. We're tired of them passing bills and enacting laws and policies that impact our lives negatively while they go unscathed and they continue to fill their pockets and without any regard for any of us. So I agree with you. And I'm praying that it happens. I really do, because this is a once in a lifetime maybe chance that we have to really change the course of this country. And if Trump does go down, if he does go to jail, yeah, I think that might be the spark that ignites it. So I hope you're right. And that, you know, we got to take advantage of it because you're right. The country's sick of it. We're sick and tired of it.
Amen. Ed, phenomenal call. Phenomenal call. Thank you for that call, Ed. 617-266-6868 is the number. I think this is a once in a century opportunity and a once in a century moment. There's a political rebellion brewing out there. And I want to stress this. It's not just on our side. Think of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You know, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to throw some names out there like Tulsi Gabbard, whatever you think of them. But you have liberals who are anti-war, who are anti-globalist, anti-deep state, pro-civil liberties. You want to call them old school Democrats, whatever you want to call them. They hate the current Democratic Party. They hate the corporate establishment, pro-military industrial complex, corrupt Democratic Party. And so they're looking as well to bolt and break. So we can now see a fundamental realignment. Many of them would come with us. Look, I'm going to lay my cards on the table. I don't agree with RFK Jr. on some issues. Please don't get me wrong. But I have more in common with RFK Jr., I swear to you, than I do with Fatso Chris Christie, with Krispy Kreme. I'm telling you right now. I have more in common with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. than I do with Charlie Baker, or with Chris Sununu, or with Liz Cheney, or I could just run down the whole list. These useless, globalist, establishment, rhino Republicans. He speaks from the heart. He's got political courage. On some issues, he's 1,000% correct. Now, again, I disagree with him on some issues. Please don't get me wrong. He's fundamentally a man of the left. I'm not a man of the left. But I'm telling you, many times I listen to Tulsi Gabbard. I agree with her. I'm sorry. On this, I agree with her. So to me, it's patriotism versus globalism. That's what it's no longer the old left-right. It's something has changed. Are you for the people or are you for the ruling class, the swamp? Are you a patriot or are you a globalist? Do you fundamentally believe in America and our Constitution and our Bill of Rights? Or are you now essentially an authoritarian leftist? Because are you for or against the deep state? Are you for or against the military-industrial complex? Are you for or against this entrenched political corruption? To me, those are now the new fault lines. And if anyone has the guts and the money and the charisma and the support, 75 million, it's Trump. So if I'm these country club Republicans, hey guys, don't get too comfortable because your days are coming to an end. 617-266-6868. I'm just speaking from the heart. Phil in Missouri. Thanks for holding, Phil, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
It appears to me that not the 20 that didn't vote to censor Schiff, it's just a backhanded slap. It's a backhanded slap at the MAGA movement. They can't let Trump get any traction whatsoever. They can't let him have any credibility. And to say that, that Adam Schiff did this would be to give some type of credibility. Because now the Democrats can say, well, why didn't you censor Schiff when you had the chance? And if you think, Jeff, I think you're mistaken when you think it's just 10%. I think if it wasn't this 20, they had another 10 or 15 lined up ready to vote against it anyway. So they went there, said, okay, this guy, this gal, okay, we got our 20. And then McCarthy went to the Democrats and said, don't worry, we're going to kill this. And they're all in it together. And I think you're 100% right when you say that this is now, it's not about Democrat, it's not about Republican, conservative, or liberal. It's about saving the country. And I think the big difference is going to be capturing the Democrat silent majority, because there's got to be a lot of Democrats out there that are just as ticked off as Republicans. And the way the Democrats vilify any opposition from their party is almost worse than the way they treat Republicans. So what say you?
Phil, by the way, you touched on something. I agree with you. I think there are more than 20. I agree. I think they want to stay hidden. And McCarthy said, fine, we just need 20, and these are the 20. But if we need more, we can get more. I agree with you. Phil, the thing about Trump, if you notice, he brought in more Asian Americans. He started to bring in black males. Latinos, huge. But many of them were former Democrats. So what's now really driving and expanding the MAGA movement, you're right, are alienated, disaffected Democrats and independents. The forgotten man, as he calls them, the forgotten man and woman, the forgotten American. And many of them are blue collar, working class, lower middle class. And Phil, I think the potential here is almost unlimited. We'll see. But if they sink him, I'm going to urge Trump, go third party. 617-266-6868 is the number. 20 rhino Republicans. 20. The traitor 20, or the coward 20 as they're being called, vote against censuring Adam Schiff. They join the Democrats, and it goes down in flames. Republicans lose again. Have you effectively given up on the Republican Party? Are they now essentially useless? 617-266-6868 is the number. You can text us 70470, 70470. Lines are jammed. Barbara in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
So much for taking my call.
My pleasure,
I'm telling you, you're on fire today. Useless. Useless. I remember my grandmother saying that about my first husband. She said, he's useless. You need to get rid of him. You know what? She was right. She was right. And I am very upset with these Republicans. They have one more chance. And I haven't been to your website yet because you had a caller earlier that asked you to put the names of the people and so we can get their numbers and call them directly. Since Anna Paulina Luna is bringing it back up without that money, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's because of the $14 million fine.
16. They recommended recommend a $16 million fine. So she's coming back and saying, okay, I'm going to remove the fine. So now it's just a slap on the wrist. It's just a censure. Let's see what happens, Barbara.
Because they need to. I can't believe it. Kevin McCarthy he's also useless. I thought by now he would have impeached Joe Biden. And now from what's going on, we see what you're saying is exactly right. And if Donald Trump does not get this nomination, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% as far as him going rogue if he doesn't get it, because I believe he'll win it. I believe he'll win it. He just calls it the MAGA party. I love him, and I know he's the best for this country right now. There's nobody better. Nobody else can get it done.
Barbara, I'm just curious. A lot of theories are floating around why these 20 rhinos would slap us in the face like this. Why do you think they did it?
Weak. And because all of your callers are spot on. They're Democrats. I live here in Maryland. That's what goes on here. The Republicans, like Larry Hogan, who was the governor, he destroyed the Republican Party here. He divided people. If you didn't agree with him, and that was most Republicans did not, he went against them. So now we have a communist who wants to be president eventually, who's now the governor of Maryland. The Republicans are weak. And the days of, what do you call them, the Rockefeller Republicans, the pinky up and having a little tea and sipping and all that, that's where a lot of them still are. They're still in that bag of being elitist. They're the cute party. They have nice coffee. They have nice luncheons and dinners and all that sort of stuff. But they don't have no backbone. They don't have no guts. And that's what those 20 are. They're just a part of that group. But I'm going to see what will happen next week. When that bill comes back up, I thank God for people like her, Matt Gaetz, and Byron Donalds. Those people, Byron Donalds, it's sad that Republicans have been reduced to this. And especially for people like me. I used to be a Democrat. And Democrats stick together like glue. They never come out against each other. And they stick together. But to see what we do, what Republicans do, I left that party and I thought I was coming to the best party. And look at what they're doing. It's so disappointing. It's just so disappointing.
Barbara, as always, thank you so much for your call. And you're right. Matt Gaetz, Byron Donalds, superb. Superb. Both of them, superb. Thank you for that call, Barbara. Well, look, there's a common expression. Liberals rescue their wounded on the battlefield. Conservatives or Republicans shoot their wounded on the battlefield. And that's what they do. I mean, you're lying there bleeding and they just shoot you. Liberals, they rescue. They save their wounded. Not us. Whoa. No way. 617-266-6868. Mags in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mags, and welcome.
Jeff, as always, God bless you, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, Mags.
So, I honestly believe that it's time for the American Party now. And the reason why I say that, Jeff, is because everybody, there's a lot of people for Trump. I mean, I listen to your show every single day, and I listen to people call and say, that's the only person that can save us at this point. Okay. And I think, like you said, that many Democrats are also on that same page, and they will leave the Democratic Party for a party that is for this country, because I believe that there's only about 20 good Republicans for the United States and probably 20 good Democrats that are really for us in the United States of America. The other ones are rhinos, and they're criminals, most of them, because they've put an oath forward to take care of us, to take care of this country, and they've all broken that oath. So as far as I'm concerned, you know what I think, they can all be punched for that because they've gone against us in our country. I think Ronna McDaniels is a big problem for the Republican Party because I think she is also a rhino, okay? She is one of those Charlie Baker, blah, blah, blah people. And because she's in charge of the Republican Party, where could the Republican Party go but down, okay? There's no place for the Republican Party as long as she's in charge. And when they re-voted her in, I said, boy, this is a huge mistake.
Can you hang on? I've got a very important question for you. Don't touch that dial. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to get right back to Mags in New Hampshire. Let me ask all of you, and I want to hear from as many of you as possible. Are you starting to give up on the Republican Party? And do you think it's time for a third party? Now, it's 2023. It's almost impossible to get it off the ground, obviously, by November 2024. Trump is going to be running in the Republican presidential primary. So he's in as a Republican, no matter what in this election cycle. But let's say after November 2024, are you open to a third party? A MAGA party, an America party, or an American party, a constitutional party, a common sense party, a populist party, whatever the name is. But a third party that is pro-middle class, pro-working class, that is anti-establishment, centered on the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and putting the interests of America and Americans first. In other words, a populist party. Would you be open to that? I'm just curious. Is it time now to start a third party? And are you now turning? Do you think the Republican Party is now no longer a viable national party? Does it represent you and your interests? I'm just curious. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Mags in New Hampshire. Mags, you feel so strongly about this. You even want a new party now. What I want to ask you is, one of the key people now sabotaging Trump, he's been open, flagrant, very aggressive about it, is your governor. He's in theory a Republican. He's a rhino, Republican in name only, Chris Sununu. Sununu now not only says Trump should go to jail, he now is condemning any Republican who says they will pardon Trump if they happen to win the nomination and win the election in 2024. Why is Sununu going after Trump and MAGA in the way that he is? And doesn't he fear that he's going to alienate many of his own voters? In other words, is it time to get rid of Chris Sununu? In your view, Mags, is Sununu now part of the problem And is it rhinos like him that are chasing you and 75 million MAGA supporters out of the Republican Party?
Absolutely, positively, yes, Jeff. And honestly, Chris Sununu is useless. He's another useless Republican. Several people that I know and myself have been leaving him weekly messages to see if he'll call us back. For 2 months now, the man has never returned one of my calls. I am not rude. I am a voter, Republican voter in New Hampshire. He has this great message, oh, this is Chris Sununu, blah, blah, blah. He isn't anything what he seems to be. He is clearly a rhino and needs to be replaced in New Hampshire. Also, we need to find news media that's willing to tell the truth, that some of the woke watch, okay? Because until we get a media that's going to tell the truth and tell the country what's happening, then some of these people are never going to wake up, okay? Like the J6ers. People should be watching the whole, they did a whole thing on it, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Everybody in the country should be watching that to see what this government has done to them. It's disgusting. We need to replace these people with Trump. Trump needs to get in there and clean house immediately. And I honestly believe that if he said today we're going American Party, that just like you said earlier on this show, Jeff, that people from the Democratic Party would leave immediately also. So I think Trump's best bet is to go the American Party, Constitutional Party, something like that, for the people of this country, for America, our great America. God bless you, Jeff, and God bless our great country, America, the country that I am proud to live in and will always fight for.
Amen. Mags, thank you very much for your call. Look, just super quick. Let me throw this other very quick log on the fire. Trump's poll numbers are surging. After the indictment, they're surging. Not just within the Republican nomination, they're stunned, even head-to-head with Biden. So what's happening now is we're getting bigger and bigger and more popular. We're now clearly the majority in the country. That shows the media now doesn't have the power it used to have. Now, this is what I'm leading up to. Tucker Carlson came out, I believe, his third episode on Twitter. He broke 100 million views. 100 million views. 100. You're not I'm not misspeaking. 100 million. Fox News in its prime, 3.5 million viewers. MSNBC, 1 million, 1.5 million. CNN, 500,000, 400, 500,000. So what I'm saying is, if you just look at numbers, we're saying the media. Elon Musk may have now opened the door for us to really get our message out and go right around the old legacy establishment corporate media. Because if Tucker Carlson is getting 100, now I understand they're views, not viewers. So that means somebody just clicked and maybe listened for even a second. But still, 100 million is 100 million. That's a lot of views, man. So what I'm saying is, the old media is dying and collapsing. And this is now giving us an incredible opportunity on Twitter, on Rumble, on other places, for us to get our message out. And when people hear our ideas and sense our sincerity and our love for this country and how we're about patriotism and making this country great for every citizen, not the elites, not the corrupt politicians. They just can't. It's like me with a Big Mac. I have one and then I have to have another and then another. So it's irresistible. So I believe now we're on the verge of breaking. In fact, I think we've already done it in many ways. The hold that the media now has. If you notice, that's why they hate Elon. And Elon has said, no, hey, to Rachel Madcow, to others, you come on Twitter. You're all invited to come on Twitter. And you compete with Tucker Carlson. And they don't want to do it. because they can get 1-2 mil. They can't get 100 million. If Tucker Carlson's getting 100 million, you know what that means? MAGA's getting 100 million. They can't stop us because our ideas, our agenda, our vision is what the country desperately needs and is desperately thirsting for. 617-266-6868. We are on the right side of history. Jake in Gloucester. Thanks for holding, Jake, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Jeff, you and I have spoken many times, and I called you back after the inauguration of this scumbag, and I said, Jeff, it's time for a third party. He's got a lot of time now. There's 4 years in between the next election. And you said, yes, you're right, Jake. And I said, you watch. I'll call you, Jeff, 2 years from now when the entire hierarchy of the Republican Party don't support Trump. And we're going to say he should have started it 2 years ago. Right now, it's too late. And the sad part, Jeff, is he saved the Republicans from communism and Hillary 4 years ago. He saved the Republican Party, and they turned their backs on him. The whole world is seeing right now what these people are made of. And you hit on it this morning so well with these 20 or 25 rhinos voting against censoring that scumbag Schiff. They're saying to us, we don't care about you. We don't care about democracy.
Jake, do me a favor. Hang on. I'm going to come right back to you, Jake. You're on a roll. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to go right back to Jake in Gloucester. Super quick. This is a brilliant text. Again, best audience in the business. Listen to this, baby. 617, Jeff. Just a side note on Adam Schiff. Schiff, Comey, Clapper, and Brennan all had to testify under oath in closed-door hearings about the veracity, the truthfulness of the Russia collusion charges. Under oath, every one of them admitted in those closed-door hearings that no credible evidence existed to support that claim. And yet all of them continued in the media tour to accuse Trump of being Putin's partner. I know. They're disgusting, incorrigible, pathological liars. Jake was making the point. Trump should have gone third party several years ago. He didn't. Jake was urging him to do it. And now we are where we are. Jake, please pick up where you left off.
Thanks, Jeff. And as you know, Jeff, I think Mitch McConnell and Roland McDaniel threatened Trump with taking away funds if he went third party. They threatened to destroy him and his third party movement, but he still should have started a third party. He had the funds, he's got the people, the donors, he has us. Like you said, we have the numbers, but the problem is we can't get our message across. And Jeff, before I go, I want to ask you, what was the biggest fear our founding fathers feared about this country when they started it? What was the biggest fear?
Well, I mean, they had several. I mean, but what do you think the biggest fear was?
Well, of course, George Washington said about foreign entanglements. I'm talking about they feared lifetime professional politicians.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, definitely. Definitely, yes.
That was the biggest fear. And what do we have today, Jeff? What do we have today? The culmination of 250 years of this great republic is culminated in a totally corrupt system, totally corrupt politicians like McConnell and Biden and all the rest of them in office 30, 40, 50 years who think they own us. They think they're our masters. This is what happens when you get power. This is what happens when you stay in office all these years. You think you are the king and queens of this country. So they think they own it. Trump came in and upset the apple cart for 4 years, and now they say we're not going to let him come back. Well, he's going to come back. And once he wins, Jeff, here's my last proposal. Tell me if you agree with this. I propose Trump win the election next year as a Republican. As soon as he wins it, as soon as he's inaugurated, he announces he's changing his resignation, he's changing his party affiliation. He's going to call it the American Freedom Party. This will give him 4 years as president with the bully pulpit, a tremendous opportunity to get us all involved, in the American Freedom Party, the party will take over. He'll appoint a great vice president. He'll appoint a person he'll support who's going to be president in 28, and the American Freedom Party will blow back both these parties because you'll get a lot of disaffected Democrats that will join the American Freedom Party. I think Trump should do that. That's his last opportunity. If he doesn't do that, if he wins, he's crazy. Why stay in this phony Republican Party that doesn't support him? He's running in a party that doesn't even support him. It's that we, the people, support him. And we have more numbers than those stupid, corrupt politicians. But we have a person in the White House now, Jeff, who has committed so many crimes, so many traitorous crimes. He's treasonous. He's a scumbag. He's a rapist. He's a child molester. And not one peep from people like McConnell or McCarthy about those crimes. Not one peep. How much proof do people want to hear?
Oh, Jake, and just to put an exclamation point on your very powerful call, they've got him on tape. They've got him on tape. Where's McConnell? They've got the president on tape admitting to taking a bribe and changing. He's the point man for Obama. He's vice president, taking a bribe to change America's position on Ukraine. They've got him on freaking tape. And McConnell and Romney and the others say nothing. That tells you, Jake, that says everything. Jake, as always, thank you for that call. Kathy in Danvers, thanks for holding, Kathy, and welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Kathy?
I'm good. I'm good. Listen, very quickly. 2 years ago, I called you and said we needed a third party. Call it the American Party. Very strong name. Since then, I've done a little bit of homework. The Independent Party is the American Independent Party. And George Wallace ran for president and unfortunately was shot and paralyzed. So it must have been a threat back in the 60s. But there also is a Constitution Party out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there's a Libertarian Party. Yeah, and there's a Green Party. So there are several third parties.
And the Constitution Party is a far-right party, acknowledged in 17 states, can actually have a candidate run for presidency. So it's not too late to get a vibrant third party in there to protect our Constitution.
I'm just curious, Kathy, what do you think of the Libertarian Party? They put up a presidential candidate almost every 4 years. They have millions of supporters. They only get a couple % of the vote, but still they're there. They're pro-Constitution. Do you think maybe Trump should run then as a libertarian ultimately or on the Constitution Party?
Yeah, libertarian, I think liberalism. So for me, it's not the name for a party for Trump to run on. And it is out of California, isn't it?
Originally, but now they've gone, basically they're national.
They are. I have to read more on it because I'm not really that familiar other than they have a lot of liberal viewpoints. Correct?
Well, and how do I say this? They push legalization of drugs, legalization of marijuana. Like that's some of the issues they really care about are, basically legal drugs. So, they have other positions, don't get me wrong, and I agree with them on some of those positions. But I think that's what's also, people are reluctant to join them because they're like, is this all about smoking pot? Is that ultimately what the party really cares about? So I think you're right. If Trump was to do it, either start his own or, the Constitution Party or take over a party with a name, a brand that people can really gravitate to.
Put him for a candidate if he's willing, for the 24 election. That's a strong possibility.
Well, I think Kathy now, he's all in as a Republican, and he's leading. He's going to win the nomination. He's going to easily win the nomination. In fact, he's going to easily win the presidency. That's why they want to put him in jail. So in a sense, if you're Trump, you're like, hey, guys, I'm almost there. That's why the deep state is arresting me. That's why they want to put me in jail for, 400 years. So, no, I think if there's going to be a third party, it's going to be after 2024. Bye-bye.